Vince's taunt slashed like a whip through the sleek urban fitness center, his sneer pure venom. "You're a walking gym wreck, sweetheart," he jeered at an overweight woman fumbling on a treadmill, weights thundering like cannons around her. Rubber mats squeaked underfoot, mirrors flashing with neon as she choked a gasp, shoulders slumping, her eyes brimming with shame under his cruel cackle. Rich clients, lounging with smug grins, piled on, their venomous jeers. "Clear out, dead weight!" Cutting the air, while poorer members stood frozen, fists clenched, gazes averted in fear. The gym's humid pulse stalled, the scene a tinderbox of cruelty, every listener hooked by the woman's raw devastation. Jason Statham, pumping iron nearby, slammed his barbell down, the clang echoing like a gunshot. He strode forward, his voice a guttural snarl that froze the room. "Get on your knees and beg her forgiveness, Vince, now," he roared, his glare a blade slicing through the trainer's smug mask, halting the gym's thrum. Vince, chiseled frame gleaming under the lights, cackled, "She's a punchline." His defiance sparked a chorus from the rich clients, their elitist barks, "Get lost." "She's dragging us down." A vicious storm, stark against the poorer clients' tense silence, their dread a palpable weight. Rage ignited like napalm in Statham's eyes, his stance a coiled threat promising a showdown to rattle the gym's core. A worker's sharp gasp sliced through the chaos, her wide eyes a spark of justice hinting at Vince's looming ruin. The fitness center quaked with raw tension, Vince's laughter a taunting flare, blind to the tempest brewing. Statham's fury, a beast unchained, stood poised to strike, hooking listeners with a clash primed to explode into a reckoning too fierce to ignore. Before we proceed, like and subscribe to catch Jason Statham's epic face-off with a cocky gym trainer and comment where you're watching from today. The sleek urban fitness center thrummed with raw energy, weights crashing like thunder, rubber mats humming with every step, mirrors pulsing with neon glare. Sweat hung heavy in the air, the thumping techno a relentless heartbeat, but a darker pulse festered beneath the gleam. Vince's ego towered like an inferno, poisoning the community with his smug reign. The chiseled trainer strutted, flexing for followers snapping selfies, his voice a venomous bark slicing through the din. "Only winners train here," he crowed, tossing his hair, his social media cloud a glittering mask for the cruelty he unleashed on the gym's vulnerable, his eyes glinting with predatory glee. The fitness center, a beacon of modern grit, stood as his kingdom, every clank and grunt a testament to his unchallenged rule, hooking listeners with attention crackling like a live fuse. A new woman, her breath hushed, frame hunched, stepped nervously onto the gym floor, her eyes scanning the gleaming machines with a flicker of hope, unaware of Vince's vicious habit of targeting the weak for sport. Her tentative moves drew his gaze, a shark sensing blood, his smirk sharpening as he prowled closer, the air thickening with dread. Rich clients, draped in designer gear, fawned over Vince, their smug sneers a chorus of entitlement, sipping protein shakes like royalty. "Vince is the king," one purred, her voice dripping with elitism, while another chuckled, "He sculpts perfection." Their adoration fueled his swagger, a stark contrast to the poorer clients, relegated to worn equipment in the corner, their voices choked by fear. "He's a snake," a scrawny teen whispered, his knuckles white, eyes darting to avoid Vince's wrath. "He preys on the weak," hissed an older woman, her gaze flickering with suppressed rage, their gritty murmurs a quiet rebellion stifled by the trainer's iron grip. The gym's underbelly pulsed with their dread, each whisper a spark in the shadows, distinct from the rich client's venomous jeers that would soon erupt, every word pulling listeners deeper into the brewing storm. The woman's hesitant steps faltered, her hope a fragile flame in Vince's cruel spotlight, the scene a tinderbox ready to ignite with one wrong move. Jason Statham, a seasoned gym-goer, powered through his reps, his focus a steel wall amidst the chaos, every lift a silent vow. "This place reeks of scum," he muttered, his voice a low, cinematic growl, his eyes narrowing as he clocked Vince's predatory strut. Weeks of watching the trainer's antics, his taunts, his swagger, burned in Statham's mind, unspoken but searing, his silence a coiled spring waiting to snap. The gym's tension crackled like a live fuse, the woman's arrival a match poised to light the fuse, Statham's presence a looming shadow ready to strike. The fitness center, alive with sweat and steel, stood on the edge of a reckoning, Vince's toxic reign a blight set to clash with a justice too fierce to contain, hooking every listener with a saga primed to explode. The sleek urban fitness center quaked, its mirrored walls flashing with neon, weights booming like war drums as Jason Statham's voice roared, a seismic shock that froze every soul. "Drop to your knees and beg her pardon, Vince. Do it!" he snarled, his words a machete hacking through the gym's thumping techno, his glare a laser burning into the cocky trainer's smug mask. The woman, clutching the treadmill, her eyes pleading, stood rooted, her choked gasp from moments ago now a silent cry as the crowd held its breath, the air crackling with a tension that detonated like a warhead. Rubber mats screeched under Statham's boots, his towering frame a coiled spring, every sinew screaming for justice as the gym's pulse stalled, hooking listeners with a showdown poised to ignite the night. Vince, chiseled jaw gleaming under the lights, threw his head back, his cackle a venomous flare. "She's a human landfill," he sneered, his voice dripping with cruel delight, slicing deeper into the woman's hunched frame, her trembling hands gripping the machine as if it could shield her shame. Rich clients, lounging in designer gear, erupted in a chorus of elitist venom, their chants of vicious gale. "Dump the charity case," a blonde in spandex barked, her smirk sharp as a blade, while a suited bro roared, "She's tanking our vibe." Their jeers, a stark contrast to the poorer client's stunned silence. Jaws tight, eyes wide with dread, whipped the gym into a frenzy, their entitlement a mirror to Vince's unchecked reign, each taunt a hook sinking deeper into the listener's gut. Statham advanced, his boots pounding the mats, his growl a low, lethal promise that cut through the chaos like a guillotine. "Keep laughing, you'll choke on it," he warned, his menace a spark igniting the air, his eyes blazing with a rage that promised to raise Vince's empire to ash. The woman's faltering breath hitched, her gaze locked on Statham, a flicker of hope battling her fear as the gym's neon pulsed erratically, the scene a crucible of fury and defiance. Vince, unfazed, leaned forward, his sculpted arms flexing as he taunted, "I'm the god of this gym, pal. Nobody touches me." His laughter, a taunting blaze, echoed off the mirrors, blind to the cataclysm looming. His arrogance a match struck in a powder keg, every word fueling Statham's wrath. The gym's chaos surged, the rich clients' jeers deafening, their designer sneakers stomping in rhythm, a mob of privilege baying for blood. "Toss her out," a tech bro bellowed, his voice a smug dart, while a socialite sneered, "She's dragging us down." Their chants, sharp and elitist, stood in brutal contrast to the poorer client's rigid silence, their clenched fists and averted gazes a silent scream of fear, their dread a palpable weight that thickened the air. A worker, her apron stained with sweat, let out a shocked shout, "He's calling him out!" Her voice slicing through the din, a spark of justice that lit the gym's underbelly, hinting at Vince's looming downfall without a whisper of evidence, keeping listeners glued to the escalating storm. The clash teetered on a knife's edge, Statham's rage a gathering storm, his every step a tremor shaking the gym's core. The woman's pleading eyes held steady, her hunched frame a silent plea as the techno's beat faltered, the gym's pulse racing with the promise of a reckoning. Vince's cackle, a venomous flare, taunted the air, his sculpted mask blind to the tempest brewing, his defiance a fool's gambit against Statham's unyielding fury. The rich client's jeers swelled, their voices a vicious tide, but the poorer client's tight jaws and wide eyes whispered of a shift, a rebellion stirring in the shadows, distinct from the chaos that had gripped moments before. The gym, alive with sweat and steel, stood as a battlefield, Statham's presence a wildfire ready to consume Vince's reign, his rage a beacon that hooked every listener with a promise of justice too raw to ignore. The tension detonated, the air crackling like a live fuse, the woman's trembling form a heartbeat in the storm, the gym's mirrored walls reflecting a clash that would sear the night, pulling viewers deeper into a saga primed to explode with a fury that would shake the very foundations of Vince's crumbling empire. Vince's defiance, his taunting cackle still ringing in the sleek urban fitness center, ignited a firestorm in Jason Statham's mind, his memory reeling back weeks, a tense reel of Vince's shady acts unspooling like a gritty film. The gym's neon cast eerie glows, weights rumbling like distant storms, rubber mats humming under hurried steps as Statham recalled the trainer's cruel reign, his venomous taunts slashing through the air. "Poor rats don't lift." Vince had sneered at a scrawny teen in worn sneakers, his voice a blade slicing the boy's pride, while rich clients, lounging in designer gear, chuckled smugly, their protein shakes glinting under the mirror's pulse. The fitness center, a sleek crucible of sweat and steel, pulsed with Vince's unchecked arrogance, his favoritism a poison seeping into every corner, hooking listeners with a web of deceit slithering like vipers through the gym's heart. Statham's eyes had narrowed then, his reps a silent vow as he watched Vince fawn over a wealthy socialite, cooing, "You're my star, darling," while dismissing a poor client's plea for guidance with a flick of his wrist. The pattern burned clear. Vince preyed on the vulnerable, targeting the weak like the woman now trembling in the gym's spotlight. Her hunched frame a mirror to those Statham had seen crushed. The air thickened with the gym's fear, poorer clients muttering behind benches, their whispers gritty and raw, a rebellion choked by dread. "Vince is a leech," a wiry janitor hissed, his voice low, eyes darting to avoid the trainer's glare. "He bleeds us dry," a single mom growled, her knuckles white, their Hollywood-level cries a faint spark in the shadows, distinct from the rich client's jeers that had scorched the gym moments ago, each word a hook pulling listeners deeper into the brewing tempest. One night, a medical student, Liam, cornered Statham by the lockers, his voice a desperate plea, eyes wide with urgency. "Vince's powders are poison, lab-proved," he whispered, thrusting a crumpled lab report into Statham's hands, the pages screaming of toxic fillers masquerading as protein, a scam that could sicken the gym's faithful. Liam's words, sharp as a scalpel, cut through the gym's rumble. His fear palpable as he confessed his failed attempts to expose Vince, his lack of clout a shackle. Statham's jaw tightened, the report a live grenade, proof igniting like dynamite in his mind, but he nodded, his silence a vow to wield it at the perfect moment, the woman's humiliation now the match to light the fuse. Another evening, Statham lingered near the gym's office, the neons glow dim as Vince's voice leaked through the door, a smug chuckle on a phone call. "Your roids are my jackpot, champ," the supplier boasted, his tone greasy with greed, detailing steroid shipments that fueled Vince's chiseled facade. Statham's phone, pressed to the crack, captured every word, the recording a ticking bomb he pocketed, his weeks of watching now a loaded arsenal, his silence a strategic blade honed for this clash. The gym's undercurrent of dread, its whispered complaints like "Vince plays favorites" from a battered teen, surged through Statham's veins, fueling a resolve to strike that burned hotter than the neon's pulse, distinct from the chaos that had gripped the gym moments before. The flashback seared Statham's mind, the woman's faltering form a beacon tying his vigil to her pain, Vince's reign a blight he'd vowed to end. The fitness center, alive with the clank of iron and the hum of deceit, stood as a crucible, its air thick with the weight of Statham's gathered proof, lab tests, a call, cruel taunts, a storm poised to erupt. The narration roared, scams slithering like vipers, proof blazing like dynamite, hooking listeners with a saga of justice ready to shatter Vince's empire in a clash too fierce to ignore. Vince's cackle, a venomous flare still scorching the sleek urban fitness center, fueled Jason Statham's rage, his voice erupting like a supernova, tearing the gym's neon-charged air. "You're a con man, Vince. Your empire's built on poison and lies," he roared, his words a cataclysm shredding the trainer's smug facade, unleashing a twist that jolted the crowd like a lightning strike. The gym's pulse faltered, weights echoing like dying thunder, rubber mats silent under frozen feet, neon flickering like a dying star as the woman, eyes widening, grip loosening on the treadmill, stood transfixed, her trembling form a beacon in the chaos. The fitness center, its mirrors reflecting a storm of shock, quaked with the weight of Statham's revelation, hooking listeners with a truth that burned brighter than the gym's electric glow, every syllable a blade carving Vince's reign to dust. Statham's glare, a molten forge, locked on Vince, his voice booming with menace. "Your powders are toxic sludge, lab confirmed," he snarled, brandishing the medical student Liam's lab tests, the pages a guillotine slicing through the trainer's lies, exposing protein powders laced with poisonous fillers. The crowd gasped, rich clients reeling, their designer gear suddenly heavy as their jaws dropped. "Our trainer's a sham," a tech bro sputtered, his voice a betrayed hiss, while a socialite choked, "He's been fleecing us." Their elitist shock, a stark pivot from their jeers of "dump the charity case" moments ago, crackled through the gym, distinct from the poorer clients' rising murmurs, their eyes glinting with vindication, every gasp a hook sinking deeper into the listener's core. Statham's assault didn't pause, his voice a relentless hammer as he hijacked the gym speakers, blasting a recorded call that echoed like a death knell. "Vince's muscles are pure fraud," the supplier's greasy drawl crowed. "My roids keep him stacked." The revelation of steroid use hit like a sledgehammer, jaws dropping further, the rich clients' faces paling as their idol's chiseled frame crumbled into a chemical mirage. "He's a fake," a suited exec barked, his voice raw with disgust, while a yoga influencer gasped, "We trusted him." The gym's air thickened, the neon's pulse erratic, the woman's widened eyes reflecting a spark of hope as Statham's truth erupted, a supernova incinerating Vince's lies, the crowd shock a tidal wave that gripped every listener with its raw intensity. Statham pressed forward, his snarl eviscerating Vince's ego. "You spit on the poor, grovel to wealth," he thundered, his words a flamethrower torching the trainer's classist mask, detailing taunts like, "Poor rats don't lift," that had crushed the gym's vulnerable, the woman's hunched pain a living echo. The poorer clients, jaws tight no longer stirred, their silence breaking as a wiry teen shouted, "We knew he was filth!" His voice a gritty lance, joined by a mom's cry, "I heard him mock us!" Their vindicated outbursts, distinct from the rich client's betrayed gasps and the earlier jeers of "clear out, dead weight," surged like a wildfire, cementing Vince's disgrace before all, the gym's chaos a crucible that hooked listeners with a reckoning too fierce to ignore. Vince, sweat beading on his brow, stammered, "It's all nonsense," his voice a panicked squeak, his chiseled swagger unraveling like a cheap thread. But Statham's glare, a predator's lock, silenced his flailing defense, the crowd's murmurs swelling into a roar, the rich client's loyalty fracturing as they clutched their shakes, the poorer one's voices rising like a tide. The woman's grip on the treadmill softened, her eyes gleaming with a dawning strength, Statham's onslaught a beacon in the gym's flickering neon, his revelations, lab tests, supplier call, witnessed cruelty, a storm that battered Vince's empire. The narration blazed, the truth erupting like a supernova, Vince's reign imploding like a black hole, every word a spark that hooked listeners deeper into a saga of justice. The fitness center, its weight silent, its mirrors reflecting a shattered king, stood as a battlefield, Statham's voice a war cry that promised to raise Vince's lies to ash, gripping every viewer with a twist that burned too bright to fade, the woman's quiet hope a heartbeat in the storm, the gym's pulse racing toward a climax that would sear the night. Jason Statham's rage, a molten core stoked by Vince's defiance, erupted in a roar that shook the sleek urban fitness center like a seismic blast. "Walk away, Vince, or I'll torch your name across the city," he thundered, his words a flamethrower incinerating the trainer's arrogance, the gym's neon crackling like lightning as Vince's chiseled mask imploded. Weights hummed like fading storms, rubber mats silent under the crowd's frozen feet, the air a crucible of justice blazing like a meteor, hooking every listener with a humiliation that scorched the night. The woman, shoulders lifting, eyes gleaming with a dawning strength, stood as a beacon, her trembling form from moments ago now a quiet pillar amidst the chaos, the gym's mirrors reflecting a tyrant's fall, every pulse a testament to Statham's unyielding wrath. Rich clients, their betrayal a jagged wound, surged forward, eyes blazing, their designer gear heavy as they unleashed a torrent of elitist fury. "You sold us lies," a tech bro bellowed, hurling his protein shake to the floor, the splatter a punctuation of disgust, while a socialite shrieked, "You're a fraud, we're done." Her voice a venomous lash, their shouts a stark pivot from the gasps of "Our trainer's a sham," in the moments before. Poorer clients, long silenced, erupted in triumphant chants, fists pumping like pistons. "Burn, fraud!" a wiry teen roared, his voice a gritty spear, joined by a mom's cry, "You're nothing now." Their voices, a roaring tide, contrasted the rich client's betrayed shouts and the earlier jeers of "dump the charity case." Each chant a hook sinking deeper into the listener's core, the gym's chaos a symphony of retribution that gripped every viewer. Vince, sweat dripping like a broken faucet, faced Statham, his knees buckling, his defiance shattered into fragments of a fallen king. His trembling lips parted, eyes darting like a cornered animal, the once smug trainer now a quivering wreck under Statham's predatory glare, the gym's air thick with the stench of his disgrace. The crowd's fury peaked, rich clients tossing their shakes, poorer ones surging forward, their eyes blazing with vindication, their collective roar a tidal wave that drowned Vince's fading echo. The woman's gleaming eyes held steady, her lifted shoulders a silent vow, the gym's pulse racing as Statham's presence loomed, a colossus ready to crush the last of Vince's reign, every moment a spark that hooked listeners with a saga too raw to ignore. Statham's voice, a blade forged in fury, cut through the din, pointing to the woman with a demand that rang like a death knell. "Beg her forgiveness, now," he snarled, his Hollywood-level command a guillotine poised to sever Vince's pride, the gym quaking under the weight of his ultimatum. The rich client's shouts, "We trusted you, Snake," blended with the poorer client's chants, "Crash and burn." Their voices a cacophony of betrayal and triumph, distinct from the gasps and jeers that had scorched the air before, each cry a testament to the empire's ruin. The woman, her frame no longer hunched, stood taller, her presence a quiet fire in the gym's flickering neon, Statham's threat a supernova that sealed Vince's humiliation before all, the crowd surge a living pulse that gripped every listener with its ferocity. The narration blazed, justice roaring like a meteor, Vince's pride exploding like shrapnel under Statham's relentless assault. The fitness center, its weight silent, its mirrors reflecting a shattered tyrant, stood as a battlefield, the air thick with the ashes of Vince's reign, every word a spark that fueled the storm. The crowd's roars, rich and poor united in their fury, surged like a hurricane, the woman's gleaming eyes a beacon of hope amidst the wreckage, Statham's voice a war cry that promised to raise Vince's lies to dust. The gym's chaos, alive with the clank of iron and the crackle of neon, pulsed with a reckoning too fierce to contain, hooking viewers with a humiliation that burned brighter than the stars, the woman's quiet strength a heartbeat in the tempest, the fitness center a crucible where justice blazed, ready to ignite the final fall of a fraud who dared to mock the weak. The sleek urban fitness center, its neon glowing with triumph, quaked as Vince's empire crumbled, his once smug reign now ash under Jason Statham's relentless fury. The trainer, broken, choked out a plea, his voice a shattered wreck. "I beg your forgiveness," he rasped to the woman, his face ashen, hands quivering like leaves in a gale, then turned to Statham, eyes hollow. "I'm a fool," he whimpered, his Hollywood-level apology a gutted ruin of his swagger, the gym's air thick with the stench of his defeat. Weights sighed like spent storms, rubber mats silent under the crowd surge, the mirrors reflecting a fallen tyrant, every crack in Vince's facade hooking listeners with a surrender that blazed like a collapsing star, the gym's pulse racing with a justice too fierce to contain. The woman, her chin rising, gaze fierce, stood firm, her trembling from moments ago now a distant echo, her empowerment a beacon in the gym's electric hum. Statham's voice, sharp as a forged blade, cut through the chaos, his encouragement a Hollywood-level clarion. "You're steel, stronger than this fraud," he urged, his words a spark igniting her resolve, inspiring her to grip the treadmill with newfound fire, ready to train on. The gym's neon pulsed with her quiet strength, the crowd's eyes locked on her, their support a tidal wave lifting her spirit, every moment a testament to a victory that gripped viewers with its raw, unyielding power, the fitness center a crucible where respect roared like a tsunami. The crowd erupted, their cheers a vibrant symphony, distinct from the venomous jeers and betrayed gasps that had scorched the air before. Rich clients, their betrayal softened, clapped fiercely, a tech bro shouting, "You're our hero!" His voice a resonant boom, joined by a socialite's cry, "She's got heart!" Her applause a rare nod of respect. Poorer clients, long silenced, roared with triumph, fists raised like banners. "She's unstoppable!" a wiry teen bellowed, his gritty voice a lance, while a mom cheered, "You're a warrior!" Her words soaring, their Hollywood-level cheers a stark contrast to the chants of "burn fraud," and gasps of "our trainer's a sham." For moments past, each cry a hook sinking deeper into the listeners' souls, the gym's unity a wildfire that burned bright. Vince slunk away, his face a ghostly mask, hands quivering as he shuffled toward the lockers, his cruel reign rejected by the gym's beating heart, the crowd's cheers drowning his fading echo. The woman's fierce gaze held steady, her lifted chin a silent vow, the gym's air alive with the clank of iron and the pulse of triumph, Statham's presence a colossus that had shattered a tyrant's throne. The rich client's claps, once elitist, now joined the poorer client's roars, a unified wave that swept through the fitness center, distinct from the jeers of "dump the charity case." And the gasps that had gripped the gym before, every voice a testament to a new dawn. The narration surged, respect roaring like a tsunami, Vince's reign shattering like glass under Statham's unyielding justice. The gym, its weight silent, its neon glowing with victory, stood as a battlefield reborn, the air thick with the ashes of cruelty, every word a spark that fueled the storm. The crowd's cheers, rich and poor entwined, pulsed like a heartbeat, the woman's rising strength a beacon that lit the mirrors, Statham's words a war cry that echoed through the gym's core, hooking listeners with an apology that burned brighter than the stars. The fitness center, alive with the hum of triumph and the crackle of neon, quaked with a reckoning too fierce to fade, the woman's fierce gaze a vow of resilience, the gym's pulse a symphony of justice that gripped every viewer, ready to ignite a legacy that would sear the night, the crowd's roars a tidal wave that promised a future forged in respect, unyielding and eternal. The sleek urban fitness center, its neon flaring with victory, surged with a new dawn as the manager stormed through the crowd, his boots pounding the rubber mats, slamming a clipboard onto a bench with a crack that echoed like a gavel. "Your history, Vince, equality rules now," he roared, his Hollywood-level decree a thunderbolt banishing the fallen trainer, vowing fairness for every client, rich and poor, the gym's pulse racing with a justice that blazed like a comet. Weights pulsed like a heartbeat, mirrors gleaming with triumph, the air alive with the clank of iron as Vince's cruel reign dissolved into ash, hooking listeners with a revival that surged like a wildfire, The fitness center a crucible where cruelty's chains snapped like brittle bones, every moment a testament to a community reborn. Clients, ignited by Statham's stand, rallied as one, their unity a blazing phoenix rising from Vince's wreckage, inspired to fund the woman's training, her eyes shining, stance bold, a beacon of resilience amidst the gym's electric hum. Rich clients, their betrayal now a distant sting, waved memberships high, a tech bro shouting, "You're our strength!" His voice a resonant anthem, joined by a socialite's cry, "You've got this!" Her clap a fervent vow. Poorer clients, once silenced, raised fists like torches, their chants a triumphant roar. "We've got your back!" A wiry teen bellowed, his gritty voice a clarion, while a mom cheered, "You're a force!" Her words soaring, their Hollywood-level cries distinct from the cheers of "She's a champ." In the moments before, the chants of "Burn, fraud." In the fury prior, and the jeers of "Dump the charity case." That had scarred the gym, each shout a hook sinking deeper into the listeners' souls. The crowd surged a tidal wave of support that gripped every viewer. Jason Statham, his mission complete, gave a subtle nod, his steely gaze a silent seal of approval, his presence a colossus anchoring the gym's rebirth. No words needed to cement his victory, the woman's bold stance a mirror to his unyielding resolve. The crowd, rich and poor entwined, pressed forward, their eyes blazing with a shared vow, chanting, "Together we rise." A unified anthem that echoed off the gym's gleaming walls, distinct from the gasps, jeers, and chants that had fueled the storm, their pledge to support every member a fire that burned bright, rejecting the shadow of Vince's cruelty with a ferocity that hooked listeners with its raw power. The woman, her shining eyes locked on the crowd, stood as a symbol of their strength, her journey a spark that lit the gym's core, the fitness center alive with the pulse of a new era, every cheer a testament to a community forged in justice. The narration roared, unity surging like a wildfire, cruelty's chains shattering like brittle bones under Statham's iron will. The gym, its weight silent, its neon flaring with victory, stood as a sanctuary reborn, the air thick with the embers of Vince's defeat, every word ablaze that fueled the storm. The crowd's chants, a symphony of triumph, pulsed like a heartbeat, the woman's bold stance a beacon that lit the mirrors, Statham's nod a war cry that echoed through the gym's soul, hooking listeners with a redemption that burned brighter than the stars. The fitness center, its clank of iron and flare of neon a hymn to resilience, quaked with a revival too fierce to fade, the crowd's unified roar a vow to lift every member, forging a legacy that gripped every viewer, ready to ignite a future where cruelty found no foothold, unyielding and eternal. The sleek urban fitness center, its neon pulsing like a beacon, thrummed with a triumphant hymn as Jason Statham stood tall, his voice a blazing beacon that sliced through the gym's radiant glow. "Crush bullies or they'll crush you," he roared, his Hollywood-level call a thunderbolt urging integrity over cruelty, each word a forged blade severing the last echoes of Vince's reign, hooking listeners with a truth that burned brighter than the stars. The gym's weights murmured like a victory hymn, mirrors shimmering with the light of a new era, the air alive with the clank of iron as Statham's resolve cemented a legacy, every syllable a spark that ignited a tempest of respect, the fitness center a sanctuary where justice blazed like a supernova, gripping viewers with a saga too fierce to fade. Statham turned to the crowd, his gaze a steel anchor, his voice soaring with vivid, quotable fire. "Forge a family, not a battlefield," he urged, inspiring a future of respect, his words a radiant call to unity that echoed off the gym's gleaming walls, distinct from the encouragement of "Your steel, stronger than this fraud," or the funding chants of "You're our strength," moments before. The woman, her eyes blazing, hands steady, stood as a symbol of their journey, her bold stance a testament to a resilience that lit the gym's core, her presence a quiet fire that hooked listeners with its unyielding strength. The crowd, rich and poor entwined, leaned in, their eyes gleaming with a shared vow, the gym's pulse racing with a promise that surged like a tempest, every moment a vow to honor her fight. Statham strode out, his boots carving a gritty path through the gym's radiant glow, his exit a cinematic seal on a battle won, no injuries to mar his colossus stride, the mirrors reflecting a warrior who'd shattered a tyrant's throne. The clients, their voices a unified roar, surged forward, rich members raising memberships like banners, a tech bro shouting, "We stand as one." His voice a resonant anthem, joined by a socialite's cry, "You've shown us the way," her words soaring. Poorer clients, slamming lockers with defiant clangs, roared their pledge, a teen bellowing, "No more tyrants." His gritty voice a lance, a mom adding, "We rise together." Their Hollywood-level vows distinct from the chants of "We've got your back." In the revival, the cheers of "She's a champ." In the surrender, the chants of "Burn, fraud." In the fall, and the jeers of "Dump the charity case," that had scarred the gym. Each cry a hook sinking deeper into the listeners' souls, their actions a symphony that gripped every viewer. The narrator's voice soared, justice blazing like a supernova, truth roaring like a tempest as Statham's proof, lab tests, a call, witnessed cruelty, seared their minds, forging a legacy that burned eternal. The gym, its weight silent, its neon a beacon of triumph, stood as a fortress reborn, the air thick with the embers of Vince's defeat, every word a blaze that fueled the storm. The crowd's pledges, a chorus of rich and poor, pulsed like a heartbeat, the woman's blazing eyes a vow that lit the mirrors, Statham's stride a war cry that echoed through the gym's soul, hooking listeners with a closing that burned brighter than the cosmos. The fitness center, its clank of iron and pulse of neon a hymn to resilience, quaked with a legacy too fierce to fade, the crowd's unified roar a vow to lift every member, forging a future where cruelty found no foothold, unyielding and eternal, the woman's steady hands a beacon of strength, the gym's pulse a symphony of justice that gripped every viewer, ready to ignite a world where respect reigned supreme. A legacy that would sear the night forever.